Brother, stop scrolling for a second and really listen. They drilled it into you from the day you could talk, defend your point. Someone disagrees, argue back harder. Someone criticizes you, prove them wrong. Someone doesn't get it. Speak louder, sharper, hammer it home until you win. That's the rule they sold every man alive, right? But here's the cold-blooded truth almost nobody dares to say out loud. The men who argue the most almost always end up with the least real power in life. I've watched it happen in prison yards where one wrong word could get you killed. I've seen it in relationships, in workplaces, in families, and on the streets. The loudest voice in the room, the red-faced one swinging facts like weapons, walks away drained, replaying every sentence in his head like a fool for hours. The quiet one, he leaves untouched, calm, still in full control of himself and the entire situation. Why does this happen every single time? Because an argument is never really about truth, it's a contest for control. The second you step into it, you accept rules written by someone else. You become the defender on their battlefield, you justify yourself. You expose your logic, your emotions, your triggers, your weak points piece by piece, while the other person simply watches, measures, and learns exactly how to pull your strings next time. Real power does not rush to prove itself. Real power chooses when to engage, and more importantly, when to refuse the game entirely. I learned this the hard way, brother. Not from some book or motivational quote. I learned it crawling out of my own personal hell, addiction that nearly destroyed me. Relationships I burned to the ground, years behind concrete walls where every day was a test of survival. Back then I still believed I had to win every exchange to be respected. Every argument left me weaker even when I technically won. Because in the process I had handed over the complete map to my mind. They knew exactly where to press, they knew what moved me. And that knowledge became leverage they could use against me forever. Today I'm laying out the raw Sigma truth most men will never hear. Why arguing is one of the biggest silent leaks of your power, how it quietly destroys your sovereignty, and exactly how to stop it cold, so you can walk through this world unconditioned, unbreakable, and truly free. If you're the kind of man who feels drained after every disagreement, who replays conversations at 3 a.m., who wonders why certain people always seem to know exactly which buttons to push, stay with me. This might be the single most important lesson you hear all year. It changed how I move through life, and it can change everything for you too. Let's cut straight through the conditioning. The hidden trap that steals your power every day. Society rewards noise, social media rewards outrage. Work rewards the guy who speaks up fastest and loudest. Even in our personal lives, we've been taught that silence equals weakness. If you don't defend yourself immediately, people will walk all over you, right? That's the lie. The man who refuses to argue is not weak, he is operating on an entirely different level. He understands something the loud ones never will. Every argument is a frame battle. The moment you engage, you step onto their stage, they set the rules, they choose the battlefield, and you become the performer desperately trying to prove something. I remember one of the clearest moments in my own life. I was fresh out of that concrete hell, still raw, still carrying the weight of everything I had survived. An old friend started pushing me, questioning my choices, trying to drag me into defending the path I had chosen. In the old days, I would have jumped in swinging, proving my point with fire in my voice. This time I did something different. I looked him dead in the eyes and said nothing. The silence stretched, the script fell apart. He started filling the void himself, explaining, justifying, even softening his tone. The pressure completely flipped. I stayed centered. He exposed himself, and I walked away with my power intact. That single moment taught me more than years of arguments ever did. Why arguing makes you readable and controllable. Every time you argue, you reveal yourself, get irritated. They see your trigger, get defensive. They see your insecurity, raise your voice. They see you losing composure. In just a few minutes, you give away more information than you would in hours of calm conversation. You become readable, and a readable man is a controllable man. Think about it. The person who forces you to justify yourself has already won the real battle. They control the frame. You are no longer the judge. You're suddenly on trial. They drop the challenge, set the topic, and suddenly you're dancing on the rhythm while they sit back and study you. Power belongs to the one who controls the frame of the conversation. Facts don't matter nearly as much as control does. I learned this lesson the painful way in my darker years. I used to think explaining myself made me stronger. It didn't. It only handed people the blueprint to manipulate me later. Every trigger I showed became a weapon they could use the next time they wanted something from me. Every emotional reaction gave them leverage. The brutal reality? Most arguments have nothing to do with discovering truth. They're about dominance, ego, and control. The other person isn't interested in understanding you. They want to feel superior or pull you into their chaos so they don't have to face their own. So what does the Sigma do? He refuses to play. Not with angry, tense silence that still leaks emotion. That's just another form of reaction. Real silence is the calm, internal stillness of a man who genuinely feels no need to respond. You look them in the eye, you say nothing. You let the pause stretch until it becomes uncomfortable for them. Watch what happens. Their entire script collapses. They expect a resistance. They prepared for battle. Instead, they get nothing. The discomfort grows on their side. Suddenly, they're the ones filling the gap, explaining themselves, softening their position, even questioning their own words. The pressure completely flips. This is not weakness. This is mastery. Quiet, observant men don't refuse to argue because they have nothing to say. They refuse because they understand a deeper truth. Real influence rarely happens in the heat of conflict. It happens later, when the other person is alone with the seed you planted or didn't plant by refusing to fight. You stop tying your inner peace to their reaction. You stop needing them to understand you, to agree with you, or to validate you. That internal independence is pure freedom. That is unshakable power. I've stood in prison yards where men would kill over a wrong look. I faced narcissists and manipulators who thought my quiet nature was weakness. They pushed, they provoked, they demanded I defend myself. I gave them stone gray rock, a calm mirror that only reflected their own chaos back at them. Every single time the storm broke against me while I remained exactly where I was. Centered, sovereign, untouched. That's the Sigma way, brother. You were never meant to waste your finite energy proving yourself to people who aren't even qualified to judge you. Your peace, your focus, your path, these are sacred. Guard them like the rare treasure they truly are. How to apply this in real life? Next time someone throws a challenge at you, whether it's at work, in a relationship, or on the street, pause. Take one conscious breath. Ask yourself a single question. Does this deserve my reaction? Or is this just another test I'm wise enough to ignore? Sometimes silence is the answer. Sometimes a short, calm, completely emotionless reply is enough. But never again hand over control by rushing to defend, justify, or explain yourself at length. The man who refuses to enter the arena is the one who cannot be defeated inside it. You are not here to win arguments. You are here to walk your own path, unconditioned, unbreakable, and free. Protect that path with everything you are. I've lost count of how many times this single principle saved my energy, my focus, and my peace after I walked out of hell. Every time I chose silence instead of reaction, I felt my power grow. Every time I refused to dance on someone else's stage, I moved closer to the sovereign man I was meant to become. This isn't about becoming cold or emotionless. It's about becoming selective with where you invest your life force. Your energy is finite. Every pointless argument is a leak. Plug those leaks and watch how much stronger, clearer, more purposeful you become. Brother, the world is full of people who want to pull you into their drama, their insecurities, the need for control. Your job is not to fix them or convince them. Your job is to stay on your path. Choose silence when silence serves you. Choose calm, measured words when you must speak, but never again surrender your frame by rushing to prove anything to anyone who hasn't earned the right to your energy. This is how Sigma men move through the world. Not louder, not angrier, just freer. Final words from the fire. I didn't become this way overnight. I became this way by burning through every mistake, every wasted argument. Every time I gave my power away because I thought I had to defend who I was. The man who walked through hell and came out the other side learned one unbreakable rule. Protect your peace like it's the last thing you own, because in many ways it is. You have that same power inside you right now. You don't need to be louder. You need to be more selective. You don't need to win every battle. You need to refuse the ones that were never worth fighting. That choice, to stay silent when it serves you, is one of the purest acts of self-respect a man can make. If this truth hits you in the chest, if If it reminds you of all the times you gave away your power in pointless battles, then do something with it today. Drop a comment below with the word Sigma, and tell me one situation where choosing silence would have changed everything for you. Your story might be the exact mirror another brother needs right now to make a different choice. If this message fired you up and sharpened your edge, smash that like button. It's not for me. It pushes this truth deeper into the dark corners where other men are still trapped in the argument trap, still leaking their power without realizing it. And if you're ready to stop leaking power and start living as the unshakable Sigma you were forged to be, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We're building something real here. A brotherhood of men who refuse to be conditioned, who choose strength over noise, sovereignty over validation, and peace over performance. Your engagement matters because every like, comment, and subscription tells the algorithm this message is weight. It carries it to the men who are still fighting battles that were never theirs to fight. Together we light the way for brothers still lost in the storm. The work continues, brother. Stay silent when it serves you. Stay strong, always! Walk tall. Stay sovereign. And protect your path with everything you are.